Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are we today, everyone? Stuart, 10 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Stuart. I really appreciate that, man. I really appreciate you always being here. Appreciate you supporting the community and myself and everything. It means a lot. It really does. Thank you so much. Look at that. Wow. A big day. Big day. This could be the season. But yes, good evening, good early afternoon, good morning to some of you as well. Good whatever. For some of you else. For being here. Obviously, this is a big one. This is like, I feel like when we played Sociedad, there was still a small like chance maybe that we could climb up the table a bit in the league. But I have to tell you that we have fully given up on that, just based on some of the things I'm hearing in terms of what we're gonna do in the league. And afterwards, getting youth involved, stuff like that, like we did with Hamas on Sunday. I think it's going to be, the league is going to be used to start really getting some youth going, hopefully. But that means this is it. This is it. This is our season on the line right here. For anybody just joining, thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. I hope our season doesn't end here. I'm not ready on April 17th to give up and have so long. It's going to be hard to fill the spaces, to be quite honest. But yeah, if you're just here, make sure to like. Everybody here, please do like the stream, like the video. All of that, it really does help me. There's a few hundred people coming in and growing. Get those up for me. I appreciate that very much. Get excited and smash like button. Yeah, thank you, Marcus. Thank you. But yeah, it's huge. It's a big game, and I mean, we'll see how it goes. I feel as though we, even despite everything, we played the last game well enough to have won quite handily. And I don't think we should change much, if anything, from last week. Not that we can change that much, because there's just not that many players available to us at this point in time. I don't think we can change particularly too much right now. But if we did what we did last week, we would have won without throwing the game away. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Finn, I would agree with that. I think it's totally down to whether we're up to it, because we should have won quite handily, honestly. We were much better than them. We really didn't let them do anything, and we just fumbled it, completely fumbled it at the back. We have the goals in the team. We've got, we've got players, we've got goals, we've got what we need. I think we should win. I really do. I really, really do. But obviously, it's like, it's that thing of like, you never know when it comes out. You never know, because I did not think that we were gonna concede all those goals. Goals where, well, look, if you look at Europe, if you look at Europa League, let's see. If you look at the Europa League games that we've played, first leg we scored with Lenny Yoro, Joshua Xerxes, fine. We don't have Xerxes, fair enough. Sociedad second leg, Bruno 3 times, Dallo 1 time. Well, they're both playing. Sociedad leg 1, Xerxes not playing. So yeah, we're missing Xerxes. There's no doubt about that. Dallo and Menu scored against FCSB. We have both of them in the squad. Rangers was Bruno and an own goal. Well, we have both of them in the team. Pilsen was 2 goals from Hoyland. So we're not really missing goals as far as our Europa League campaign goes. We've got we've scored goals in a much more broad and general fashion from in the Europa League. It's different. It's different to the Premier League. There's no doubt about that. We've been able to do a lot better in the Premier League than in the Europa League than the Premier League at getting getting some goals in there. Yeah, we've scored in every single game. We should be the only undefeated team, the only team that has scored in every game. Um, I honestly think and I'm sorry to say this. I'm sorry that I have to say this. Um, it's we lose with a disaster from Onana. It's gonna take a disaster. You know what I'm saying? That's the issue. We lose if we really throw it. Um, Otherwise we win. It's our game to win. It's our game to win. It's our game to do. It's our game to take. We are the better team, and we were better. They were really unimpressive. So I think it's only if we make a mistake. If we make mistakes, we lose. If we play our game, we'll be fine, and we will go through. So yeah, we're the better side. But look, I mean, the last game was one of the worst games from Hoyland around, and we still managed to probably should have won that game. So if you can just put in an average performance, we'll be good. We'll be better than them. Didn't a misplaced pass from Casemiro set them up for their equalizer? Yeah, but you're not allowed to point out anything but Ugarte mistakes in the midfield. It's illegal. It's against the rules. It does not fit. Regardless, whoever is playing today, no matter what, we just have to back them. We'll be happy with it. No arguments, no nothing. We'll just see the lineup as it comes out in a few minutes, and ideally be happy with that. A few of the things that I want to discuss is that, number one, we were talking about forwards yesterday, and what United were doing in what United want to do in the forward market. And obviously, we do know that with moving on Sancho, moving on Rashford, moving on the players that we are, even without Europe, we want to go for a couple of forwards. And excuse me, we talked through all the different scenarios. We talked through all the different scenarios that that we might go through there. But an additional one is certainly because of is that we might get three, and it was interesting because we were kind of talking about that possibility. We kind of are planning for two, but what if Garnacho leaves? Well, I think Nathan Salt at the Daily Mail was doing a live the other day, and a Daily Mail, he was doing a live and he was talking about how we could get three, and that is true as well, because why not? Well, if we can get two as it is, well, what if Garnacho or Hoyland do leave? Then we can get a third one. What if Xerxes leaves? Then we'll get a third one. There's a sincere chance that we can get a third forward, because there's a sincere chance we could lose three forwards. Now, there's some links to Cherki today. We know that Cherki's one United have been following. But I think, to be clear about one thing, the first two forwards they want to sign are direct goal scorers. Cherki would be probably more like a third signing type. Like, yeah, if we were to lose somebody else, Xavi Simons, Cunha, Mbumo, these types of players, strong carriers, you want to get on the goal. Cherki's a different player, less pacey, less direct, bit more of a creative player, and all of that. So we'll see there, but there is the possibility that we do completely reinvent the front line, entirely. There is that distinct possibility. That being said, what is also being talked about a little bit more is the midfield, right? Is that we may, in fact, go for a midfielder at this point in time, and I do think we will. And in an ideal world, I do think we will in an ideal world. We looked at this yesterday, by the way, on Simons and on the profiles of the players that we looked at, by the way. He is a good carrier. Here, I'll show you. Xavi Simons. Goals, carries. They were all like that. The main names that we were looking at, just reminder on this. Simons. Oh, it's the wrong Well, see, he's still good on carries that year, but I wanted to pick a different year. That one. There you go. A lot of similarities in these players. See? Carries and goals. Carries and goals. But yeah, I mean, it could be. There's a lot of iterations here, but obviously, if we move on from Garnacho or somebody else as well, then we're very likely to look different. If you look at Cherki, for what it's worth, um, he's kind of does everything at this point in time. But if you do break down his like, he's quite a talent. That's not saying we wouldn't sign him. But statistically, he's also very good on the ball. He's just a little less fast, a little less direct, but he's a good player. What I mean by him being stylistically different is this: he's more of a passer, less of like, he's just so good that all his stats are good at the moment, Cherki, but he is more of a passer than he is, and more of a creator than he is a goal scorer. So you can kind of see like he does a lot more on the assisting and passing. Yildiz is also one I really like in that respect that we've looked at, for what it's worth. The problem with Yildiz is that he's not been very direct. And now, since they've changed coaches, but this is one of the things I've wanted to see with Yildiz. He's an incredible dribbler, but he's been really indirect, not going at goal enough, not running at and attacking, not going to score, and getting himself into scoring positions. But I'm not saying he can't. He's 19 years old, but he needs to do more of that and become a bit more direct to become a great player. But he has all the tools for it, I think. But I think he's a bit more traditional as a winger rather than an inside forward, in that respect. So that would be one thing. It's a possibility. But look, if we were to get three, I'm not saying that Cunha, Simons, and Boom are all the same players. What I'm talking about is they have similar strengths in styles and things like that too. At least certain attributes that they like out of them. But yeah, look, we could definitely get three, and it really just dependent on who leaves. Then there's the midfield, and the midfield, and in the midfield, we do want to make a signing. We do want to get a more physical player. And again, I would say it's more likely we're looking at, getting somebody else. I guess at part to some degree, I wouldn't even overthink the 6'8" aspect of it, but I would say that we certainly want an all-action midfielder. That is the type of player that we want. That is who we're looking at. Who's more likely to sign Job or Hackney? I don't know. I really don't know. And we haven't heard anything specific on either of them that is too much worth mentioning. I could say Job Bellingham has a few more links, but I'm not quite positive about that. I'm not sure that that's even true. But I also think that it would be really difficult to convince him to sign for United as well. So I'm not so sold on Job being somebody that's even attainable right now. There's a lot of other guys. Declan Rice should be the blueprint. I absolutely agree with that. I like Declan Rice a lot. I think he's the right type of player. It's certainly an all-action, everything type of player. But getting somebody that good is nearly impossible. I mean, that's the crazy part. That's where, when we have these discussions over things like, midfielders and all of that, and what you really want out of a player and all that, I'm like, all right, well, who? Who's the guy that can do that? Statistically, Vermaelen, I mean, you look, I haven't watched him, so I'm not going to say just based on this that, it's everything. Just because, he passes the ball forward, but he doesn't carry it. It's like, but I haven't watched him. But the thing is, it's really hard to know, midfielders. I mean, here's what's funny, right? And I just use this as an example. All this, people have this love affair about McTominay, and then they're like, oh well, he's gonna, we lost a superior player, and and all of that. And then you actually go look at the numbers, and you're like, hold on a second, McTominay is doing what he's always done. He'll occasionally run with the ball as an extra man and go score a goal. You know what I mean? And that's cool, and it works in Italy when you can do that. But people tend to get real over the top about things. Ezekiel Palacios is great. Pizza Charts isn't player analysis, of course. If you haven't watched the player as well to add to it, then you're not going to learn much by it. You certainly have to watch players and see how they play and all that as well. I would love us to get like a midfielder from France and all of that. I also really do like Ugo Chukwu as well. So yeah, Carringham pops up in the final third, and you can get away with that in Italy. That's why he's having some success. You can get away with not doing much in the rest of the game, and then popping up and scoring a goal. You can't really do that in England. But look, there's the lineup's about to come out, so I think, right? Because it's, am I crazy? The lineup should be out in 1 second. Hold on a sec. No, he does carry. He does carry. It's just a little different stylistically. Hold on a second. But yeah, you gotta watch people. Look, as far as the midfield goes, I don't really care, honestly. Like I would rather be able, I'd love to get some sort of midfielder. There's a few that I like. There's a few in the championship I like that I think are available. Okay, here's the lineup. It's the same as last week. Unchanged, right? That's what I thought. Here, I believe this is the same as last week. Onana, Mazraoui, Maguire, Bruno, Højlund, Dorgu, Yoro, Garnacho. It's the same as last week. It's the same 11 as last week. That's what I thought we would go with. If I'm not am I missing something? It is the exact same as last week. That's what we predicted. That's kind of what we thought. That's what we expected. And that's what makes sense. And I will remind you once again that Bruno Fernandes is for the 5th or 6th game in a row, starting in the 10, not in the midfield. But yeah, same lineup, which I think is smart. Once again, I think we should have won last week quite cleanly. I mean, Garnacho blew like 3 open chances as well. People forget about all of those. So it'll be good. Yeah, I think we'll go through as well. I really do. There we go. We didn't really have a problem with progression in the last game. Like, at all. That's why I'm still kind of confused, like, what people keep talking about. Our progression was fine. Interested in what the TIFO is? Yeah, me too. I thought we didn't say it. I can tell you have very little confidence in 11. I don't have confidence in any 11 because we're just not that good, But it's the same team. I mean, it was good enough last week. It'll be good enough this week. As long as we perform well. That's really all that matters. We just can't make mistakes. We just can't make mistakes at all. Is the Puma thing the reason why Mantato hasn't been signed up and on the bench? CJ, it very well could be a part of it. I was questioning or wondering about image rights, and looking at that and saying, but there's always some odd things with image rights and all of that, and yeah, and he signed for Puma. He officially signed for Puma today. It was announced, and I think that there's a possibility that there was something that had to be sorted on image rights, because as far as I'd heard, we there was due to be something very, very shortly that would hopefully sort it out. This could be part of the issue. It could be something like just settling on certain factors on representation, things like that. But as far as I understood, it was not like I said, it's not a football reason. It was something technical, something like this. So there could have been just some complications in there. So maybe this is a part of sorting it out, hopefully. Visa issues, okay, it could be something like that. But yeah, so maybe hopefully we'll get something like this sorted out. But as far as I understand, it's a more of a technical issue than a football issue. So hopefully it does get sorted out very quickly and he can play, because part of the plan in the coming days is to play the play the team, play the youth in the Premier League, get some of them debuts and get some of them going in. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know the details of it, but that was one of the suspected things. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess we'll see. Thoughts on the Graham Bailey story about Regan Job double swoop? I don't know about that. I mean, look, I know he was born in England. Fine. I don't know what the issue might be, but there's always potential issues on with young players. You never really know on image rights, on things like that. He's been at United a few years. Maybe it doesn't. I honestly do not know. It could be completely wrong. I just don't know what the issue is in specific, but it certainly seems like it could be something related to image rights, which may have nothing to do with visa, may have nothing to do with background, it may have nothing to do with anything. It can just be stuff like that. And at least we're sorting it out. Either way, and hopefully he will be able to play soon. This is going to be a hard watch. Why? It's the same as last time. What's the worry? Like what makes people so concerned? I guess beyond the general gist of things. What makes people so concerned about it? To the point of like, I guess what I'm saying is like, obviously, we're not a good team in general these days. And obviously we've had a lot of issues, overall. But my question is like, what is it? Is there something in particular that is like so different than the last game? Is it just nervousness? Is it concern over missing players and things like that, or like what is the reason that people are much more are so worried about this? Is the story of Amram yelling at players true? I honestly don't know. I do know he was upset about certain things, but yeah, I wouldn't say it was yeah, I wouldn't say it was. I don't know the exact details of it. I mean, what I'm saying is this is right is like it's gonna be. I'm nervous on it because we're always capable of playing poorly, and obviously the game at the weekend is not going to make anybody feel better. But at the same time, it's no different to last week, and we've actually been good. We actually have been good since. We've been good in general in Europe, and we continue to kind of just do well in Europe. So I'm not going to, get too agitated about it yet, because so far I don't have evidence to suggest that we're going to be crap. You know what I'm saying? We've been good in Europe. We've been decent. We've played well in Europe, and yeah. You thought they looked better in the second half with Lacazette? I don't think so. I don't think so. We literally controlled the game entirely, and we blew, if you recall, like 2 or 3 chances on the run. I mean, does anybody not remember that? We blew multiple big chances in that game, and then we were just seeing it out before Onana spilled it. Like, we really were not in this, like, crazy danger. I'm not sure where people are, like, coming up with this. You know what I mean? Like I'm not sure where people are coming up with, like, remembering this a certain way. I mean, take a look here. The goal they scored that Onana spilled was was the majority of their chances. You know, like, in there. That was far and away their biggest chance of the whole game. Right in that final minute. There's no guaranteed wins. There's no nothing, but, you know, I mean, we were the much better side. You look at all of the chances we had right in the middle in good spots and good all of that. It's just, you know, it's fair to be worried. We should be worried at all times with this team. But at the same time, there's nothing more to be worried about. Like I said, if we perform, I think we'll win handily. If we just don't show up, we just can't. If we don't show up or make big mistakes, that's really all. Would you rather get a world-class keeper, striker easily? Because I think we still are going to have a massive goal-scoring problem no matter what. Same game as last week minus the errors we go through. Exactly. If you're a betting man, you can bet on Casemiro and Ugarte yellow cards. Yeah, and both would be suspended if they get yellow cards for the next round, for what it's worth. That is a little bit of a worry because we don't have a lot of options. There's nothing to fall back on. No, look, I'm worried. I'm nervous. I'm definitely, in that camp. It's just it's no different than before. I still believe very strongly that we're the right team. We're the best team. In this game, we are the better team. How many years do you think it will take for us to get back to the top? I mean, I think that it can be overstated and understated. It's just about buying correctly. It's just about buying right. I mean, Aston Villa went from the verge of relegation to Champions League in a couple of years, and they have a lot less money than us. Nottingham Forest went from 17th last season to 4th on an 18 million net spend. The thing that I believe is true is that I think the gap between the teams in 4th and 17th are not that big, to be quite honest. I mean this seriously. Outside of Liverpool, Arsenal, and City, the teams are not good in general. Like, City when fit, mind you. Outside of those 3 teams, most of the squads out there are just not that good. The gap between all of them is really not that big. Like, the gap between Villa and us and Tottenham and Palace and all of that is just not that big. Forest, Villa, they play a lot of low block, counter football that gets results, that grinds out games. They're just, the squads there's not that much difference. And it sounds crazy to say, but like, there's just not that much difference between 4th and 17th. And it sounds nuts. It really does. But there isn't. Because you've seen teams go from challenging the top 4 to the bottom, from bottom to top. And when you actually look at them player by player, squad by squad, they're just not that good. Newcastle are probably growing into a good squad, but they're going to be pretty limited this summer, financially as well, from what I know. And if Tonali gets banned again, well, that's a big hit on them. We could very much be and should be, again, because financially, even with everything, it's still United. We very much should be, in my opinion, in contention next season if we get our recruitment right. Like, you know, and yeah, it's like we could finish between 2nd and 10th, but so could half the teams. Absolutely agreed with that. Like, if you look at it, if you look at the standings, right, and you look at everything, how many points is it? Like, let's say you add Delap and Cunha, and that's it. Nothing else changes. How many more goals does that get you over what we've had from Garnacho and Højlund? How many more goals does Delap and Cunha get you next season together? How many more in the Premier League? I say 20, 15. If 15 to 20, if we're being conservative, 15 to 20 more goals. Okay? And they're Premier League proven. So you're not going to have this huge, like, disastrous, like, thing or anything like that. So what does 15 to 20 goals get you? How many more points does 15 to 20 goals get you? I think you win at least 4 or 5 more games. I mean, at least it's worth 10, 15 points in the league. You know, if you score 20 more goals, how many, you know, it's worth that. Well, that puts you 2 points behind 5th this season. You know, so the gaps are not huge. The things are not, there's nothing like, you know, it's not crazy. And so I just don't know what will happen there. But yeah, we'll see. I don't think it takes that much to improve it. Overall, you know, there's a and then if you factor in how many games has Onana throughout, well, you know, that's crazy. You know, like you look at that and you think, man, that's you know, that's nuts. But yeah, look, there is a big correlation between goals scored and points. On it, you almost teams pretty much average. If you look at the average, you end up with about as many points as goals scored. So goals are worth a lot. Goals are worth an enormous amount of money. You know, and goals are worth an enormous amount in the league situation. So yeah, I do think adding 15 to 20 goals adds you 15 to 20 points, and that puts you right in the mix again. We really cannot be understated just how bad we've been in the forward line. Just how bad our forwards have been. It literally cannot be understated just how bad it is. 1 second. You know, that's the thing. It's like John Duran was at Chicago. Yeah, I believe he's at Chicago. Onana did cost us games in the Premier League, if you remember. Not quite as directly, but saying that he didn't is kind of crazy. Let's see. Let's go back. I think it was. We actually dug it out against Ipswich, but fair enough there. Which game was it? I don't remember which one it was. There was a few games when Amorim first joined, from what I recall. I don't remember, to be quite honest. I really don't. Nottingham Forest was one. Brighton was another, from what I recall. Yeah, I think there was 2 or 3 games that were cost pretty heavily by him. Yeah. Wolves? I don't remember the Wolves game. I know we lost 2-0, but I don't remember it. Are we just blaming him for every one of them now? Because that's fine with me too, just to be clear. Yeah, I don't know about that. The corner goal, you are right, Issa. They did score straight off of a corner against Onana. You are right. Yeah, so I think that's a fair one, where it's been like just absolute disastrous chances that he's conceded. But yeah, Forest, I feel like Forest, Wolves, and people weren't trusting you, Issa, but I know that you were correct on that because I remembered it, and I was like, which one was that? Now Alte was in Spurs off of a corner too, from what I remember. There's a few things, but there's more than that. There's just how bad he's been in general, passing, saves, parrying, things like that. Um, so if you had a better keeper, you would save more points. Guaranteed, a keeper would save you more points this season. If you don't think a keeper we would have had that Onana has zero effect on our points. That's crazy. Like, that's crazy. You cannot say that. It's been that bad at times. The number of, because look, you have a stat on mistakes leading to goals, and it's like 12. What was it? 9 this season? Errors leading to goals from Onana. So you can't say he hasn't cost us points. You can't. He's cost us points. He definitely has. So I would say easily, in general, I think the forwards is worth more because scoring goals is everything. But I would definitely say we've lost, like, I don't know. Easily though, and I mean that's the crazy part of all of this. We've scored 38 goals in the league. That's our points total. If we scored 50 goals in the league, we'd probably be in contention. Anyway, so no, I don't think it'll take that long. I don't think it's nearly as far off as it looks. I don't think it ever is nearly as far off as it looks, frankly. I don't think football is that, like, I don't think that the gaps between teams is altogether that big. You know what I mean? I don't think it generally is. There's a few teams that are making a big gap. And that's really Liverpool and Arsenal, but I don't think that the gaps between everybody else is actually big at all. And look at, like, Arsenal. They went and destroyed Real Madrid. 9 errors leading to goals across all competitions this season is correct. Thank you. They went and destroyed Real Madrid. And I understand you can't compare competitions 1-to-1, but the simple fact is I just don't think the gaps in football are that big right now. I think in general, quality of football is at its all-time low right now. I think it is the worst it has ever been in football. And that has nothing to do with United. I'm saying in general, football today is the worst it has ever been. Post Messi, post Ronaldo, post some of these guys, the best players today are fucking shit. There's all the praise and the talk of Jude Bellingham. Where is he? That's my personal meme on it. I think he's I think he's a bit overrated, but mostly in comparison to the top players that we had before, Bellingham's not even close to Kroos and Modric in their primes and these types of players. They're just not. Football is very what's the word for it? Homogenized in a way to be quite bland, and you don't get the same kind of levels of outliers that you used to right now. And some of that is the systematizing of the game and all of that. But, like, the best players, who's the best player in the world right now? Honestly, who is it? You ask me, I don't think I could tell you because I don't know who it is. Villa ran through PSG. They can't defend for shit when someone runs at them. They just won from better forwards, and they're very good forwards, mind you. And they're a good team, but they don't move me that much either. Frankly, I don't think they're insane. Mo Salah might be the best player in the world right now. Rafinha right now today, but I don't think he's the best player. I think he's having the best season, maybe, but I don't think Rafinha's the best player in the world. And if Rafinha is the best player in the world, are you kidding me? I'm not trying to insult him. He's a very good player. But come on, man. We know what kind of Rafinha is a very good player, but he's like that. That is the best player in the world. It's crazy. We have reached a level of football that is not there. Lamine Yamal could be that guy, right? Lamine Yamal could be that guy, in a few years that changes things. Mbappe feels like he's not reached the heights, in my opinion. Yamal will get there. I don't think Vinicius comes close. I'm going to be real with you guys. I don't think Vinicius comes close to Gareth Bale. I don't think he comes close to how good Benzema has been at times, just comparing Real Madrid forwards. I don't think he's come close to that. I just don't. I don't think so. I don't think so. It's like, I just don't. And so it's like the overall quality has definitely dropped off a lot, um, significantly, you know? So it makes it a little bit easier. In some ways, it makes it a little harder because we cannot just buy like two superstars. There's no one to buy that's going to elevate our team like that. That's the crazy part. Like, there's literally, I don't think there's a single player we could buy that would elevate us to an insane level, like on their own. And I think at the time we've been carried by that. We've been carried by like, a Pogba coming in and for a season just lighting the world up. There is nobody we could buy that is as good as Pogba was when we bought him. My opinion. There's nobody in the market that's as good as Pogba was when we bought him. I'm not saying it worked out in the long term, but there's nobody in the market we could buy that's good. That's that good at all. That like that player will elevate us all the way up, you know? So you have to just buy smart and be smart. And I think that, the team itself will elevate. And the gaps are not that big. And I think that fit is more like at the current state of football, a well-built team that fits together is more important than talent right now because their players aren't that good. There's just not that talent right now. Now, I do think, like Osimhen and Cunha are two of the best players we could buy that would improve the team a lot. But they're not, you know, they're very, very good. They would improve the team a ton. There's no doubt about that. I totally agree. And I like the idea of Cunha and Delap as well. I'm just saying, like, I think they're good enough to raise us in because the rest of the world isn't that great right now. And the rest of the Premier League isn't that great right now. I don't think that they're like, I think we have to look at football through a different veil than we did before. I don't think you need world-class talents because there aren't any. You're not competing against world-class talents. City has not got anybody as good as their best, right? When you're talking about De Bruyne, David Silva, Aguero, and even Bernardo Silva and such during his prime, they still don't have any players nearly as good as that. Rodri's the only one, and he's injured, and we'll see when he comes back. They don't have him. Haaland isn't as good as Aguero even was. I will say that with completely stick my neck out on that. Haaland is not even close to as good a footballer as Sergio Aguero was. He may be a fantastic goal scorer. He's not even close in terms of impact as Sergio Aguero was. Sergio Aguero is one of the, like, when you compare the level of the strikers in the Premier League to today, holy fuck, man. The Henrys and the Drogbas and and the Agueros and the I mean, gosh, there's obviously we've had so many in the Van Persies and all of these guys. Like, there's just not that many players who are that good. In general, that's the thing. Yeah. So anyway, that's my view. Yeah, Suarez and um all of those kind of guys. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the matter. Hazard, yeah, I mean, look, it's just different. It's just different than it was. And so I think that it provides with an opportunity to probably build back up a solid base. And that's where I'm happy for us to get Rooney, obviously, yes. Like, nobody compares to these players, right? That's why I'm happy to build things back up. I think Declan Rice, I've loved him for a very long time as a player. I think Declan Rice is probably one of the best midfielders that has been around for quite a long time, and I think he's showing that a lot nowadays as well. But I've always maintained that. I thought he was one that was going to be like at that level, and I think he is. Frankly, I think he is one of the best midfielders that has that potential to be to get into those discussions at some point. You know, so it is what it is. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna end it here so I can get ready for the game in a minute. But no, look, I think that in general, the goal is to improve at a more like holistic level. Um, And I think the level of team that is needed to be competitive is just not that crazy. If you stuck this team out to me tomorrow and said, I'm not even going to make all the changes. Like I'm not even joking, man. If you took two players and added them to this team in Rice and Cunha, or Delap and Cunha, and you brought Ahmad back in, then I would tell you I think this team would compete for Champions League positions. Is that to say this as good as Arsenal or Liverpool or City? No, I'm not saying that at all. Or even Newcastle. But we'd be in the discussion in the 5th to 8th positions because teams just aren't that good. Not saying it's enough, not saying any of that. I'm just saying even if you just did that, this would be a team that would compete in the 5th to 8th positions. So it is what it is. That's my thoughts on it. So I think that the job isn't necessarily as big as it seems to get back into contention, but I also think that that back into contention to top 4 is still a bit away from competing at the top level. That's the main issue. Is the kid with Dortmund loan interest any good? Jace Fitzgerald, you mean? I can't say I know too much about him myself. I think he's a good player, but I don't want to. There's players I've heard in particular, are obviously ones that we want to get for the starting, but he's not one that I've specifically heard like we want to fast track or something. But there's going to be other people who know more. What's your view on who Liverpool go for as a striker, Osimhen? I mean, they obviously want Isak, but yeah, I don't know, honestly, especially with people staying and signing contracts and such. I guess it depends. Okay, thank you all. I'm going to end it there. Please come join me for the watch along on Big Up. It's down below. Link is below. I'll see you there. Game starts in about 45 minutes. Thanks for hanging out today. I hope you've enjoyed the chat and appreciate you all. I hope to see you at the Big Up thing. They're running a little competition. If I get 175 people over there, and you don't have to make an account now. You can just sign in with your Gmail, which creates an account for you. If 175 people are there, someone will get like some money that they can use to donate. And it's just a little fun kind of competition. But it's been a lot of fun watching the watch alongs there. So I hope you all have been well. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chatting with me today. Thanks for arguing. Thanks for always the varied opinions and different views and all of that, because I do appreciate it very much. Thank you, and I will